Welcome back to another episode of My Checka, where I talk to dope people that doing dope things in their life and their career and all those different things. I got one of my homies on the line. I know everybody I've been interviewing has been a homie, but this is a homie. I've known her since the days of my as I say, my backsliding days, throwing parties, building up my brand in the St. Louis area. And I remember she used to come to our Thursday. She was like, "Do you have a cousin named David?" And I was like, no. I was like, no. When we just start right, he was like, "You look just like him. Y'all need to talk and meet each other." So we exchanged number. Me and him had texted a few times, man. I still haven't met this brother. We supposed to look just alike. I still haven't met him because he's in Houston, right?
No, I think he's in Memphis now.
Memphis. At one time he's in Houston. Because I was like, "Yo, I'm in Houston. I know this is weird, but I mean, Don said we should meet up and everything." And he was like, "Man, dude, I'm out of town or something." He was in Miami or something hanging out. And I was like, "Dang, all right." And that was it. That was like 2010 that I had texted. And I still have his phone number.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man.
Still have his phone number. She is a mental health professional, psychiatrist, and she specializes in mental health for athletes. So she's prescribing them drugs from the athletes, make sure they can get over the hump. So I want to introduce everybody to Don Brown. Thank you for coming on, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
Man, thanks for having me. Oh, man. I know we've been trying to do this for a minute. It's been on me, so I apologize. But
no, you busy. You helping people get healthy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes. And I appreciate what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I love your mission. I love your drive. I've seen a lot of your interviews.
Yeah.
Amazing people, dope people, like you said. So
before this comes out, I just did an interview with Dr. Garfield Hilton from Shy. He's a doctor now. The light-skinned dude from Shy.
Yes.
In Houston. He's in Houston.
Yeah.
So I just did an interview with him on Wednesday.
Okay. I didn't know he was from the Shy. Okay.
No, the group Shy. You don't know he was from the group Shy?
Oh, Shy, the group Shy.
Yeah, the R&B group Shy.
Sydney, Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the R&B group Shy.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's down there.
You've had some dope people on here.
I'm sorry?
You've had some dope people on here.
Yeah. I got some other ones too that's gonna be pretty dope too. I got coming up in the can too. So it's been a cool journey, and it's cool people. Everybody's been like, "Yo, I mess with you," or "I know this other person, and it's cool. Let's do it."
I love it. I'm just honored to be considered, man. I'm honored to be asked.
So you're from Flint,
Michigan, Flintstone. To the day I die.
Flintstone, man.
Flintstone. That's right.
So how was it growing up in Flint, Michigan in the 90s?
So, I'm a 70s baby. I'm 78.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but growing up in the 90s, though, I'm saying is when you're kicking up dust days. I always say like, you're kicking up dust days. It's the 90s.
So I graduated from school in 96. So, the thing is, I'm born and raised in Flint, born in Hurley Hospital. What's up? Shout out to all the Hurley Hospital babies out there. So basically grew up and raised in Flint, but moved to the outskirts of Grand Blanc, Michigan when I was in middle school. But still did everything in Flint. So went to school in Flint, my church is in Flint, schools, my friends in Flint. We actually moved because my house was broken into twice. Wow. And then down the street, someone got shot. So my dad was like, yeah, we're moving. So that's the reason why, we moved out my neighborhood on the north side to an outskirts subdivision called Grand Blanc, or subskirts called Grand Blanc. And so, my life is in Flint. My mom was a minister of music at Grace Emmanuel Baptist Church, and some other few churches, Ebenezer Baptist Church out there, and another church. And so that's where my life is. My friends, longtime friends out there. I talked to one of my friends I grew up with in elementary school this morning. So, it's just, we have a wonderful culture in Flint. You hear about the negativity about Flint, about the water and all of that. I mean, I remember the water was dirty when I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow. So this is a long-term thing.
Yes. Oh, way before me. I just remember having the conversation with my mom. I was like, "Mom, look at that water. It's dirty." And I was 6. And so that's been going on for years. And many of our other small cities, American, let's be real. Yeah. And other lower socioeconomical places too. And so, you hear about the negativity, but there's a lot of positivity that's been birthed in Flint. that's come out in Flint.
I mean, it's a lot of dope people that came out of Flint.
A
I
lot of dope
mean,
people. I mean, let's look at the NBA. A
yeah.
lot of people in the NBA are representing of Flint, Michigan, and the WNBA as well.
Is
You
it
know,
MC Bree from Flint?
MC Bree, no featuring your friend from Flint.
And I'm gonna show you my hip hop now. DFC.
DFC. What? Yes.
That's how Captain feels.
And Midnight Star, you know, he actually
Midnight Star is from Flint. That's right.
Yeah, Bo Watson. I talked to him 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
really
wow.
Good. Oh, yeah, good family friend of ours. He played for my parents' wedding, played for my aunt's wedding. My mom was a mentor. He had a crush on my mom when he was in school, you know. So, I mean, we're really cool. He's very open about, you know, just growing up in Flint as well, being rooted in Flint. So there's a lot of positivity that comes out of Flint, not just in the arts, but then just who we are, our connection, our vibe. We're just dope people. We are. Yeah. And so we just try to really promote that and know that it's not negative. It's a positive place, you know, that is going on in Flint. We just want to make sure that our people are taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's the negative part. Yeah.
So what around the time, so when the mills and all those things shut down around there, that was in the middle of you growing up when that kind of transition, right?
It was. I actually was the first intern at General Motors Flint in high school, first high school intern. And I worked at the power plant there. I was interning because I wanted to always be a doctor, but I kept the doors open, and I was really interested in engineering. So there was mechanical engineering experience I had. And that was right around the time where Auto World, I don't know, people from there's Auto World is basically, it was this museum of how the automobile industry was basically birthed a part of Flint as well. It was the first sit-down strike for General Motors that occurred at Flint or in Flint. And so, I mean, I think it was the 1930s or something like that. So, you know, it's a lot of his history that, that we were a part of in regards to automobile industry. But, you know, that also poured into our city, right? Mm-hmm. So you have these plants in our city. My godmother, Mary Giles, and my brother's godmother was, instrumental in that as well. So, and my dad worked for General Motors. My uncle worked for General Motors. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you knew. My dad moved from Baton Rouge, attended Dillard, went to Flint for the automobile industry.
Of course, that's everybody got up there. I was a part of a Black flight.
Exactly. You take that away, you're taking away a lot of, profitability in a city that depended on that, right? And so looking at Flint, looking at Detroit, Saginaw, I mean, all these cities that, basically were nourished by this automobile industry, and then take that away, that's what happens. And so, that was a part of me growing up. And so when I saw that, and then Xavier, where I attended undergrad.
Which I was going to say, that was my next question going in. It was like, hey, then you decided to go to Xavier, another school that is rooted in a lot of gangsterism, people that came through Xavier, on the professional side of life. That is so was that feeling of Flint the reason you went to Xavier, that you had that same feel of these people that are embracing, grown, and fostered the Xavier? Because Xavier gives the most doctors. People don't know Xavier gives the most African-American doctors, produces the most in the country. And
right.
Probably the world, really. Probably the world then. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely the world. Number one, always been number one. I will say this, I went to a predominantly white high school. So I tell you, I went, moved to Grand Blanc. I was the only African-American in many of my honors classes, right? Most of my classes. My friends in Grand Blanc, of course, were a mixture. So I love, I still keep in touch with many of my high school classmates, white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, race was not anything to me now and then, right? But what I wanted, I didn't really see myself. So I'm looking at myself on the TV. I'm looking at myself when I go to conferences and seminars. I mean, I met Ben Carson probably like 3 or 4 times in my life, because at one point I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. But then I didn't see myself at my age, and I wanted to be what I wanted to be. So I was like, you know what? My parents attended, HBCUs, my aunts, my uncles, I mean, the majority of my family. And so I wanted to go to an HBCU. And I wanted to go to HBCU that was dedicated to basically foster an experience where, hey, the odds of me attending this school is going to prepare me to become the best doctor that I can, or get to the best schools that I can, because it's a part of that journey. So that's why I chose Xavier University of Louisiana.
So what is it about Xavier that makes these these good Black doctors and not maybe Alabama A&M? I'm not trying to diss anybody at school. I'm saying, I'm just saying, like, what is it about that curriculum and about that experience that fosters that?
Yeah, shout out to all HBCUs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
One of the things is that's what they focus on, right? So with Xavier, let me say this. I mean, I have a best friend like Ashanti who's a communications major, right? And she's like one of my best friends, and she went to Xavier. So it's not just about medical doctors or students who want to become medical doctors, but I think what they fostered on was the student. That's what I appreciated. And of course, they were known for, number one pace American, but they fostered on you as being an African-American student who had dreams, aspirations. The class size was small. We had what was called, what were they called? SI groups. It was kind of like supplementary instruction in a sense, where basically we had these small classes that reinforced what we learned in our lectures. And our lectures halls weren't necessarily that large. Like, I actually was about to go to University of Michigan for engineering.
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask you. I thought you, because most people from Flint go to Michigan State. That's where the Flintstones started and came from, with Mo Pete and all them,
Yeah, Mo Pete. Yeah, all of them, right? I mean, those are my people. But I'm talking about University of Michigan Wolverines, right?
Yeah.
And
so that's Fab Five and all that was right before that.
Yeah, Chris Webb, all of them, Jalen Rowe, Howard. So the thing about it was that I actually got a full ride from General. General was going to play for my honors engineering experience.
But they want you had to major engineering then, though.
Yeah, I had to major engineering. I was already something to the honors engineering hall, if you will, right? And then 2 weeks before I was going to University of Michigan, here comes Xavier calling me saying, "Hey, we would love for you to come down here. We're going to give you a full academic scholarship. We would love to be a part." I mean, it was that personable. It wasn't a letter. It was a call. It was a call. And my parents went to Dillard in New Orleans. So,
I was gonna say, I spent some time at Dillard. I dated a girl down at Dillard. Yeah. You'd have been a senior when I was down there hanging. I was a freshman down there hanging out with a girl that was she was actually from here, from St. Louis, that was down there at Dillard.
Okay.
And I used to be down there. Went down there twice, hanging out at Dillard.
You like Dillard? You like New Orleans?
Yeah, you know what? New Orleans, I tell people all the time, you had to go to New Orleans before Katrina to understand what people loved about New Orleans, but also fearful of New Orleans too.
Oh, they don't play now. They don't play. Our people don't play.
People understand, you'll know. So if you go a little bit, I guess it would be north of when you're going in the French Quarter and you get past like that last club up in the north part of the quarter, that's when you can get jacked at, and then people's like, yo, no, don't go up there. I'm like, no, we finna just chill out here. No. Come back down this way.
Yeah.
This is before heavy cell phones and stuff though. So this is like people telling us before we went, like, yo, when you get to that club, that's the last place you can go before it gets busy.
New Orleans, oh my God. I mean, I don't want to get off topic, but that's my second home. And I understood why my parents went to Dillard. And part of it was the city, the experience, the embracing of Blackness, culture. I mean, the food, people, like when I went down to New Orleans or Xavier, I knew one person, actually two people that were from Flint, Philnita Hines, Kamisha Danzler. And, they actually attended Xavier. And so that's the only two people I met. When I left Xavier, I left with a lifetime of friends. Whenever I go back to the city, I mean, me knows, like, I know the restaurant owners of city, of places, because they took care of us. Like, people who didn't even know me was like, do you have somebody, you have a place to go for Thanksgiving? You have a place to go for Christmas? You don't have to get home for spring break. If you hear from Mardi Gras, you want to come back, even after graduating. I mean, it was that real, seriously. And any student that would tell you that went to Xavier had a similar experience, seriously.
Do you think it's the same for students that went to Tulane or Loyola or anything like that?
I'm sure it was. I think it was. It's really the culture of the city that I appreciated. So I love New Orleans. It will always be my second home. St. Louis my third because that's why I went Nets, right?
Yeah.
But New Orleans, yes. And it's so unfortunate what happened. How some sort of devastation, right, happened to the city, but it didn't take away the spirit of the people. You know, people that are from New Orleans that live here in Houston are the same way. They're the same way. They
I mean,
take
the
their
St. Louis people is just that they gotta act. It's all the same.
It's all the same. No matter where you are, it's within you, right? It's your spirit, your soul. So that's what I really loved. It was a heartbeat of how I just really got through during my college years. And like I said, the friendships I met, I mean, people from all over. Yet we still lifetime friends.
So when you got down to Xavier, were you going to from engineering the same way, or did you they automatically knew? Did you want to? How was that transition of like you were going to Michigan for engineering? Did they think you were coming there for engineering, or did you already kind of look at the medical field?
It didn't take me long. Like I know 2 weeks before I was going to Michigan, I was like, yes, I'm going to be a doctor. That's it.
Wow.
That's what it was. When I was 6, 7 years old, I remember saying to my parents, I wanted to be a doctor. I looked at pictures when I was 3 or 4 years old where they got me a doctor set. Of course, I didn't have memory at that time, but I knew that was birthed in me. I already knew that I was going to be a doctor. I didn't care how I was going to get there, how I was going to become it, what obstacles were going to get in the way. I knew that it was possible. I knew that I wanted to be a doctor, and that was my focus. And I spoke that into existence by praying about it, speaking about it out loud, and just really surrounding myself with resources and people that were going to be supportive of that goal. I think that's important for any person, student, child that's looking at this, is that if that's what you want to do, that's who you want to be, no matter where you are in your life, you got to speak it. And then the faith steps what that is just you actually working towards it. You making decisions that's what you want to do in life. Go ahead and start making steps towards that decision. That's the faith in mind that God sees and that he's going to support, your vision, your desire. And so, that's what I want to do. And so when I got that phone call, it was a no-brainer.
So you as soon as you got the phone call, I switched my major too.
Just like that.
So what made you decide, when you went there, did you want to be, everybody, I know at least from my crew of people that went to, came into Iowa State for medical, they were like, everybody wanted to be an OBGYN because they saw Bill Cosby on the Cosby Show, or a pediatrician, or a surgeon, because I remember ER was big then, like, oh, I want to be an ER surgeon, hanging out, kicking it. Did you know that you wanted to go into the psychiatric side?
No.
When you first got there?
I didn't. I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. See, like Dr. Steve Black and Callie.
You wanted to be, and you wanted to be a neurosurgeon. You wanted to go all the way there.
Man, I already had my people. Like I said, Dr. Keith Black, Ben Carson, Alexa Kennedy, my sword. Like, I already seen them on PBS specials. I already followed them. I've gotten their books. I know their stories. Like, if you look up Alexa Kennedy and know her story, she was like the first resident in her program to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. Like, it's these greats that I was like inspired by. So you're exactly right. Who we see on TV, right?
Yep.
What we see on TV feeds our mind, it feeds our brains, right? It probably becomes seeds within us. And if we actually look at, okay, this is something I'm about doing, you can harvest that. And all of a sudden you're just like, oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So I want to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. And just like these people that inspired me. And when I went to St. Louis, so I came to St. Louis because I failed I didn't fail my MCAT. I guess you can't fail it, but I did poorly on the medical school entrance exams. Mm-hmm. This was the first time I actually
I've lived a couple different lives, Don. I dated a woman that was taking the MCAT and stuff, so I knew that I understood that whole process where you have to choose 3 different places, but you don't know, and like they rank you. It's like some people, they did some weird stuff, like. So when you take your MCAT, you apply to only a certain amount of schools, but then they can rank you or something. And then like you're automatically accepted. It's like something weird where like, and you have to go there or something, like the way, like, they rank, isn't it something like that? Or
Yeah, so no, that's called a match. So that's already when you're in med school and you're applying for residency. You're
okay,
exactly right. So that's the match. But the MCAT is basically you take this medical school entrance exam. It's kind of like the GMAT for people who want to go to grad school.
or the GRE for other people.
For the GRE, yeah, exactly. And so you take this exam and you apply wherever you want to apply, and then it's a mutual acceptance. So, but that's different from the match what you're discussing. And you're right. That match is basically like you got to rank your top 3, 5 places, and they rank
but it's like,
you.
what if the 5 wanted me? And it's like, well, hold on, I just put that on there randomly for Philly. I didn't know. I don't want to go. Now I'm in Philly.
Yeah, you got to be intentional about that one. Because
it ain't like when you're an undergrad and you can just be like, I'm gonna apply to everywhere.
Right. Yeah. And I think I interviewed at 10 places for that, right?
See?
But yeah, going back to the entrance exam, like, dude, like I didn't do well at all. And I actually shocked myself because I always did well. And I'm not saying that out of cockiness. I'm saying that like, okay, I'm the only Black in my class in high school. I had a 10th grade counselor told me that I was dreaming too big of me wanting to be a doctor in 10th grade. Like, you think you hear this at elementary school? No, player. I heard this in 10th grade, right? Where I already know who I am. I'm coming to knowing who I am. So, you know, I strive, and it's a psychiatrist. It's so unfortunate that certain degrees of trauma have to motivate us. Like, they become our motivators. It's so sad that motivates us, not from our experience, but that's projected onto us to where, okay, we got to be better, even though we have that motivation internally anyway from the very beginning. Why does trauma have to?
I just was interviewed for a magazine that's coming out in like a few weeks, for an online magazine, and they asked me what was my biggest motivator, and I was like, pain. And I was, and I thought back, I was like, damn, why did I say that? And I was like being funny and but like being real and funny at the same time. But it was true, because a lot of things I've done, which sucks, I built off of pain. Like, or either I'm trying to get back, I'm trying to prove something. And I remember I heard someone say, you can never get revenge on poverty. And that kind of shifted my mind state with that. Like, I can never get revenge on what I came up from. You can never get revenge on your experience. You can never get revenge. Yeah. So that kind of flipped my, and I emailed like, hey, can you take that out? And I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to, it's cool. Yeah. Because I didn't like that I said that, but
it's real though. It's real for so many of us. It's unfortunate, but it's real. And it becomes a part, it can play a role in our adulthood later on in life if we don't identify what led us there, and if it's a part of who we are, and if it's hindering us from being better. And I don't want to get off topic, but
no, you're good. This is the people get this knowledge.
Yeah. So some people may look at the perspective of, pain is our motivator. And that's true. That's just real. They may not be associated with feelings. That's just real. Right. So, here I am, I didn't do well. And so St. Louis was one of the places. St. Louis University School of Medicine was one of the few programs that offered a post-bac program that was focused for gaining minority. They didn't have any. So this was an entrance way, a door for more minority, people to come into medicine. And so ironically, some of my classmates at Xavier actually was applying for the same program. I had 2 people in my class that were part of my class in St. Louis. I had upper level students who were from Xavier that were part of this, because again, here we go, standardized tests. Some cultures don't do well at that.
Yeah.
We don't do well at that, especially us as Blacks.
No, and something else though, Don, we didn't realize, at least I didn't until later, is a lot of these kids, and one of my closest homeboys from high school, I went to all boys high school. I went to Saints University High School.
Okay, yeah.
So a Jesuit all boys school, and some of the kids' parents were getting them. This is early. You would know this, and I thought it was a cop out. Maybe it's not. Basically saying that they had ADD, and they would get untimed exams, untimed like ACT, SAT, all that. I'm like, yo, I got attention. I'm like, but you didn't know that those little small tricks of the game to be able to take standardized tests better, of understanding of like how to select tests and how to do this kind of stuff.
And it's unfortunate because ADHD is real. You know, that's my special. We definitely talk about that. First, there's a couple of things about that. One, people abuse that, right?
Yeah.
So even my college students that I see, many of them say, yeah, Dr. Brown, you know, my friend took it and he's aced his exam and he don't even have ADHD, right? Because he's been evaluated. He know he don't have it, but he knows his medicine works. Yeah, anybody that takes this medicine, regardless of that ADHD or not, this medicine can improve your focus. But the downside to that is the long-term use of this, or even use of it, because now you're starting to overproduce certain chemicals in your brain that are a part of this dopamine wave pathway, which can be potentially addictive, right? And that can also navigate a person onto a different path, and you don't want that. But the other thing about this is that a lot of us as Blacks are not necessarily identified as having ADHD when we are young. A lot of us are already projected as being bad behavior. We miss class because we suspended for talking out of turn or getting up so many times, or, you know, having these mood conditions that may lead to fights, you know, so on and so forth. Or ADHD is misidentified as being trauma as well. A lot of research about that. So we're missing out on people that have this condition, this executive function condition that is real, that they're not being able to get this type of treatment for, and therefore hindering them at a young age of being able to function optimally, which can affect the whole entire academic and career and therefore lifestyle pathway. Think about that. That's huge.
And it's those things that we need to know, you know, especially, I mean, I've been in therapy the last 2.5 years, and I just been preaching people like, yo, like, just go, man. Like,
love that.
Just go, man. Like, I mean, like it's just like, it enhanced my relation with my daughter better and my other people and things like that. You know, it made me more of like trying to take a step back instead of being motivated by pain, being motivated by love.
Amen.
You know, and learning that process with that, you know. And so when you got here in 2003?
I got there in 2000.
2000. Okay, yeah, because you came out 96, 2000.
2000. Did a year post-bac.
I came out 2003.
Yeah, and then just to speed things up, I didn't do well at all on any of my what we call board exams. So you got to take boards after your second year of med, after your first year of med school, second year of med school, and then your third year of med school, you take a part A and part B of a board, and then the fourth year you take a board. So 3 times, right? I failed all of them. Wow. And I failed 2 of them twice. So here I am. I failed boards 5 times in 6 years. Because of course I didn't graduate on time either, because after I took the first board, I failed that twice. They were like, hey, either you don't want to be a doctor, or you take this one more time and you can pass it, or if you fail it again, then you can't be you can't take this again in the United States. You got to go outside the country. Yeah. And apply for med school out of there. So I'll be kicked out of med school, and then I'll be trying to take,
hello Cuba,
outside the country.
Hello Cuba.
Right, come on.
I mean, is that true that I heard that it's supposedly, and I don't know if this is just Negro conspiracies or not, because I really haven't researched it as much as I should have, but I was hearing that basically Castro would let you go for free if you're African American to Cuba medical school. Is that true?
I heard that.
Is that true, or is that Negro, babble?
I don't know. I've heard the same thing. I've heard that too. It would be interesting. You can make me look it up. I want to know now.
Yeah, every time I think about it, I never Google it or really look into it. I was like, man, I wonder if that's true or not.
Yeah, I heard that. But there are certain schools that pride on wanting to accept Blacks and other minority cultures into their school outside of the country. I will say that.
So you're going to go to Puerto Rico basically in a minute.
Somewhere. Yeah. Puerto Rico. Yes, exactly. But you know what? I stopped going into, I looked at it briefly because I knew I was going to pass this time. And I knew I was going to pass out. Like I said before, when you take the faith walks and you're speaking something that you want in your life, you can have it. You got to just take this faith walk and get the resources around you and get a realistic journey goals and go on that journey. And so I had to, I was class president and all that. And I say that because at the time that was so humbling, and my classmates knowing that I failed the boards. and majority of them passed. You know what I'm saying? So here I have to tell my class, hey, y'all can no longer be your president of 2 years because I failed my boards, and I won't be delivering your message because I can't graduate with you because I failed my boards. Right? So I'm thinking about that. And then I'm thinking about, well, I need to get into a program that's going to prepare me. So that was a 4-month program where I met some other forever friends, and we all beasted it out. We all passed after being in the program for months. Yes. And one was a psychiatrist, one of my homegirls. She's a child psychiatrist, just like me. So here I am, I went to residency in St. Louis, adult residency. It's a 4-year program, but you can opt out of 3 years if you go into certain fellowships. So I wanted more training, right, for child. So I opted out the last year, went to Baylor here in Houston. That's how I got here in Houston. I actually want to stay there. So that match, yeah. I put WashU as my first because St. Louis University didn't have a child program. So WashU, Baylor, and then Emory was my third. And WashU didn't.
All 3 of those are super dope.
Yeah, all 3 are super dope. I love all 3 of those.
Before we go, I gotta link you with my boy. He's the smartest Black man I've ever met in my life. He went to medical school at Baylor. He went to undergrad at Rice, medical school at Baylor. He's the head of one of the hospitals down there as a surgeon. Ooh. And he's like brain surgeon. And he went to high school with me. Like I'm talking about, his name is Malford Tyson Pillow. Don't call him Malford. He goes by Tyson because nobody call him
Malford. That's somebody. That mama said you gonna be named after somebody in our family.
And it's his daddy's name too. So that's his name after his daddy. So it's like.
Oh, that's right.
And he tells his own journey. I'm gonna have him on soon too because this dude's got books and like on brain surgery. I'm like, yo, Tyson, you're from U City. You're from U City.
I love it. You see what I'm saying? I love it. I would love to meet him. I would love to meet him.
Malford Tyson Pillow, man. You can his books are on Amazon. Like that's when I was like, oh dang, you next level. They got textbooks for kids.
I know that's right. Exactly. You got.
So you got down to Baylor. So Houston how are you doing with the whole weather thing before we even jump into?
I'm blessed, man. No complaints. I lost power and water for about 4 or 5 days. I stay in a hotel for 1, but let me tell you something. There's so many people out here in dire need. I have no complaints whatsoever. So me and some friends, we just try to help local people who still don't have power because they're pipe first. They don't have the materials because they're waiting for the materials to get here. Because Home Depot, Lowe's, all these places are out of them. I mean, you talk about the 4th largest city in our country that experienced this, wasn't prepared for it. And the unfortunate circumstance that people perish because of it. So, there has to be change. There has to be change, man.
Yeah, I mean, you just had a hurricane a few years ago. Y'all should have been ready for like anything in general.
Yeah, one of my patients' families was like, man, I would get a Hurricane Harvey any day. Versus, yes, they were comparing both disasters and was like, this is unreal. Yeah, that's how devastating this has been for certain families. Initially I was on, I do a lot of posting just for encouraging people. Yeah. I was like, hey, take this time to, good you don't have TV, right? Let's take the time to, learn each other, know each other. I know it's pandemic out there too, but do something that you've always wanted to do in your house, build something, all this. But then when I heard about people dying from carbon monoxide or just because they were cold.
But that's just not knowing. We know that growing up, when you warm up the car, you gotta lift up the garage door. You can't just warm up the car, and you can't. What was one dude tried to barbecue inside the house and they died. I was like, man.
That's when I knew that I was like, okay, we need to educate, right? We need to educate our families. We need to educate people who just don't know, And I mean, my heart was I was done. So I took a break from social media and I was like, let me go ahead and focus on trying to provide education resources for these people. Let me try to do whatever I can to do. So I got a group of my friends together and we did. And we're still. And so, it's just so sad.
I've always thought that we should have, and it's no real curriculum for this. And you're going to probably laugh and think I'm ridiculous with this statement. We need to educate everybody on hood-based technologies, like how to heat your crib when you don't have no heat. Like how to get by without the utilities. You know what I mean? Like that we had to go.
One of my other families that I see, because I do multi-clinics, right? So one of the other families I saw is like, look, Dr. Brown, I had to just get hood. This is what he said. I broke down furniture in my house and put, and I was like, you had to do what you had to do to make sure your family was.
But that's something that people don't know to do. Like, you look here, man, we ain't using this table.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think it's actually a great idea.
Hood-based technology.
Yeah, because I think it also attracts certain people who just don't know, and the name in itself, like, okay, that's me. They identify themselves, and they can learn in the process. That may be part of it, but I think the huge part is the lack of access that people have.
Yeah,
the education that they need and so well deserved.
But isn't it so crazy that we have all of this technology and research in this, but we refuse to like look for it? Like we were just talking about the doctors in Cuba. I'm gonna Google that now just so I can know. Yeah. You know, maybe if somebody's like, yo, I can't, in the situation you're in there, and it's like, yo, maybe you need to go to Cuba, dog. I've seen this couple articles, maybe go to Cuba. Like that might be a path for you.
Yeah.
So getting down to base. So when you were in St. Louis, you decided be a psychiatrist then, or when did you transition, or when did the transition happen from like, yo, I want to be this pediatric brain surgeon to or this psychiatry in general?
Yeah, I did a couple of surgeries with my mentors at the time, who were neurosurgeons, and my longest surgery in there was 37 hours. Okay, and here I am, a med student. I'm not even a resident. I'm a med student.
You ain't getting paid.
Ain't getting paid or anything, but I loved it. I loved it. But you know what I loved more? I loved my dream of wanting to be a mom, or wanting to have a life, wanting to travel, wanting to get married. Like I had all these other aspirations. And then I talked to at least 10 neurosurgeons. I had to make sure that I talked to a variety of women, men, you know what I'm saying? Young, old. I wanted a perspective of their experience. Not that I was going to base it upon mine, but I want to gather information so I can make my own informed decision about their lifestyle. I knew I loved the art. I love the art of neurosurgery. I knew that. I still do. But it was the lifestyle that I wanted for me and, eventually my family.
And you said basically they don't kick it. They don't get to do anything.
Oh, no. Many of them, I would say majority were divorced.
Wow.
Some didn't have kids. Some did have kids and regretted it. Not regret the kids, but regretted their career because it often got in the way of going to events and games and being there for their children, even just to tuck them in at night. So this is kind of the interview. I was interviewing them. Yeah. I interviewed at least 10. And I said, even though every single last one of them, but one of them just started to not dislike the field for other reasons. But, the majority of them were like, I love what I do, but it came at a cost. And so I read Ben Carson's book. I talked to Dr. Keith Black. I actually had the pleasure of talking to Dr. Alexa Canaday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Black female surgeon.
Yeah.
And, I love her. Oh, I love her. I love her wit. I love her personality. But she was like, listen, honey, if you want to do this, you got to do it. And you got to make sure you want to do this because there's no going back if you don't want to do this.
Okay. And you was like, I want to have a little bit of balance.
Yeah. And she applauded for me just wanting to interview people to understand their journey who are already doing it, because you don't know unless you go into the field, and then so far, many people don't turn back. That's a lot of years of training, of trying to, what I'm saying, knowledge. Yeah. And so I will tell you this, psychiatry, my psychiatry experience as a medical student, psychiatry, the last thing I wanted to do. So it was the first rotation that I put on my schedule, because it was the very last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to get it out the way. I was like, I don't want to do this. Even my own thoughts, like I look at people being locked up in a floor where they out their mind. Like, I can't see that. I can't do that. I mean, how am I going to help those people?
Yeah.
That was my thought, right? And then my dad was like, you okay? I don't want you to get, if something were to happen, do you have a contingency plan? I've never gotten hurt, ever, but we don't know, and that was my own knowledge of first of all, I'm an empath. So being empathetic and, not being able to help people who are not in the right mind, and then doing that every day.
Can take a toll on you.
Yeah, take a toll on you. And then being locked up, me, just not even considering them, but me on the floor, I didn't like that either. So, but man, I loved everything about that. I loved everything. I love psychiatry. And then I met my mentor, Dr. Robin Parks, who's a white Christian woman. Loved her. She prayed for her patients. She prayed with her patients. If they didn't believe, in Christianity, she prayed for them, so she was respectful. And I was like, I want to be a Christian psychiatrist. That's what I want to do. Oh my God. And then I think because my mom was going through breast cancer, it came back during that time in med school. And I want to really, be close to her. And St. Louis was an 8-hour drive, and then me having Dr. Parks in my life, I think that really helped. And then having Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church in St. Louis.
Shout out to Friendly Temple.
Yeah, my crew that I still love and adore, having people like you and having outlets to go to parties to, and me not being a doctor at the time or a student, like I could just be doing, like all of that crap matters, man. All of that circle matters. I say crap for not cussing on your
podcast. Yeah. You could.
But all of that matters. You gotta have your circles. You gotta have your outlet.
I've had an upcoming rapper on here that would smoke weed on the podcast, like literally. So you are nowhere close to. Shout out to Prospect out here, man. I love that dude, but he was like, "Yo, can I blaze up?" I'm like, "You already done blazed up. It's all good." He asked me after we already going.
I love it.
So what? So you got down there. Why athletic?
Oh man,
athletics. Because that's an interesting way, interesting path.
It's interesting. I'm a child psychiatrist, right? Mm-hmm. I subspecialize in ADHD. I have my own practice. And I started to do athletes. Well, one is I didn't choose it. They chose me. So when I was in one of my private practice as an individual proprietor, I was a part, doing my private practice basically in a place where they already had set up. I had a Houston Rocket player come to see me. And he came to see me because he was having anxiety attacks. He was having anxiety, didn't know what was going on. Similar to the Kevin Love situation.
Or DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, so he and his wife came in and he was like, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I need help. Is this confidential? Is it safe? I looked you up and you're the only Black one in our area. At the time I was living in the Woodlands, right? It's a community outside of Houston. And I need to talk to somebody who looked like me and can help me. That was it. And so after, helping him and his family, the word just got out to Houston Rockets, Astros, and so I just started seeing, players locally. Of course, what we do is HIPAA regulated. It's confidential. I love that. So a lot of people don't even know who I see. No one in my family knows. No one knows.
That's dope. But that's dope, though. That's dope. Of course.
Oh yeah, we have no other way because this is a confidential, management, and anyone deserves confidential treatment, and a lot of them weren't getting it within their own organizations. So you'll talk to NFL players, you'll talk to NBA players, and
so they don't have those on staff, like a therapist on staff.
So they have what's called a clinician on staff, and usually that clinician, if it's related to mental health, is a therapist or a psychologist.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Now, I know a few psychiatrists like Dr. David Barron, who's probably of the LA Rams, and also now the Las Vegas Raiders now. I know him, he is a well-known, psychiatrist for these players. And then in the NFL, they were, as of last year, so, these are individual entities, right? You have the NFL as an organization, and underneath the NFL, you have separate organizations, right? And so all the teams are their own entity. So the NFL can give some advisement, but each individual owner of the team decides in itself what it wants to do. As of last year, the NFL.
Oh, and we know how that goes because shout out to Bidwell. I don't know if you know how he was with the Arizona Cardinals. He used to make his players pay for their own Gatorades. He had the free Gatorades that were sponsored. He put them in a vending machine, so he was making money from the free sponsored Gatorades. So we know he ain't getting a therapist for them. You making it pay for Gatorades that are free.
It's interesting, man. It's so interesting. It really is. Right. And so it, the NBA already had, like you saying, you mentioned DeRozan, you mentioned, I mentioned Kevin Love.
Yeah.
The NBPA, Players Organization for the NBA, they have these, Dr. Purnell, who's actually a psychologist I believe he's from Chicago, but anyway, he actually heads their mental health for the NBA. The NFL, there is no one identified to do that because they're all individual entities. So you have to go to who their player engagement person is, and that's how you're able to understand all the other types of, providers that they have, that they offer to their players. When you I'm a season ticket holder of the Texans, right? So if you look in their
sorry for you. Sorry for you.
Man, listen.
Hey, you might want to sell them tickets now. They ain't gonna be
man. But my number one team is the Saints anyway. Who that? So I was let me go ahead and trade out.
I'm gonna give you a small side. So me and Roy had season tickets to the Rams right before they left. So we was all hype. We got 5th, 6th row. We like, yo, we ain't never giving these up.
Man, I'm sorry, y'all. Shout out to
we thought we had made it because Keith hooked us up. You know Keith Harris?
Yes.
Keith Harris hooked us up. Yes. We like, yo, we done made it. We on the 6th row, 30-yard line. We done made it. We done came up. Them jokers.
That's exactly where I sit on the Texas, 6th row, 30-yard. Seriously, that's crazy though. But yeah, I'm about to. And shout out to JJ Watt. He got 5 offers. He well deserves it.
Yeah,
man. Listen, but anyway, I'm gonna have to sell those. But you look at the programs that they hand out, these booklets. You know how they hand out booklets, right?
Yeah.
You look in the back. There's no mental health provider listed. You got the orthopedic surgeons. You have dentists. A dentist in there. You have all these people that are
They got the barbers in there too.
You got the barbers in there.
The reason I know is my barber is Jason Tatum's barber, and he's like he gets like all kind of. They made a barber shop in the facility. Yes. But then I'm like, hold on, but they ain't got no mental health place, and they're like, no.
Mental health. Mental health. Mental health is a part of your overall health. It's a part of your.
But they got a barber shop with 3 chairs.
Yeah.
For only 15 players.
Majority Black men, 70%, 80% at least. Yeah, I get it. Right, man. So it's so as of last year, they were actually looking into at least having some type of access to a psychiatrist, even though they may not be on the actual payroll. They may have someone that they consult with. And nowadays, they're looking at major individual insurance groups just pouring into WNBA as of this week at Anthem. Michelle Anthem has actually partnership with WNBA to provide them, all types of care.
WNBA is way ahead of the curve when it comes to all stuff athletics, period. Like them sisters are way ahead of whatever is category you want to talk about. The WNBA is way ahead of what every other organization should be doing already.
Which is interesting because I think that's why a lot of males on the NFL and NBA, even in the MLB and boxers that I see like me as an African-American woman.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my therapist is a woman, so like I need somebody to be like, "Yo, D, you tripping?"
Yeah, and for many men, because I I don't ask for feedback because it's not, it's not my place to ask for feedback in our sessions, but they'll just say, Dr. Brown, if we finish like a type of experience, whatever, I appreciate it because I couldn't talk to my boy about this. You know what I'm saying? Even though I could talk to my boy about this, that, and the other, and we have men talk about this was something I couldn't talk to my boy about. But I could talk to you, who is a stranger, who I know won't go anywhere, who understands because maybe your background, but your professionalism, your knowledge about it, like that's what I can get from you. And I appreciate that. I've had people in so many words be able to say that. So you'll see the NFL, like the Panthers was the first team who hired a Black therapist on their payroll. That was 3 years ago.
Really?
3 years ago. Yeah, I connected with her and she's like, yeah, girl, they came after me and was like, we need a therapist. And the coach was the one that was like, yes, publicly acknowledged her presence. This is what, Cam was with the Panthers. So 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were the only NFL team that had a therapist, and she was Black. Then you have other teams who, like the Rams and I want to say Pittsburgh Steelers, have Black therapists on their team, female. You know what I'm saying? So not that nothing against our brothers, nothing against our brothers.
No,
or
but it's a different thing. If you've been to therapy as a brother, you know that you want a woman. Let's just be for real.
Yeah.
And I would suggest maybe the opposite way for women, potentially with a brother. Like, I mean, I just think that it's a different visual perspective with it. Like, I don't know what it is. And I don't, this in general, just like in general, that's why I guess with, it's just the energy. I think it's the energy, the feminine energy offsets your masculine energy.
It is. I love that. It's the femininity too, because some things, it just kind of, it's not a replacement for a person's mother, but it's the feminine energy that gives that person that reassurance. It's also about understanding just kind of the woman too, because we don't talk about all on-court stuff. You have to understand a lot of off-court stuff affects people on the court or on the field or in the arena. So we talk about a lot of things that are impactful to them outside of their field. So it humanizes their experience. I'm not talking to an athlete. I'm talking to a male, if I'm talking about the NFL, for example, who's in my office, who's suffering off the court or off the field. That's what I'm talking to.
It's a range of things, I'm assuming. From is the biggest one money? Is that like the biggest one, like the kind of like survivor's remorse kind of syndrome?
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of trauma. That's why I like talking. I mentioned trauma. We talked about trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of them they haven't identified their growing up experience as traumatic. They've identified it as, this is what I need to get out of my hood. This is the scholarship that I need to provide for my family. This is what needs to happen. I need to get shot when I was 7 in order for him to motivate me to be the best NFL and be a champion right now. That's all the things that I needed to happen at that age that really propelled me forward on this journey to become an NFL player. And then when they realized that was traumatic and how it's interfering with who they are now, how it may be interfering in their relationships with their woman or their man or their children or even their friendships and their money, how it gets into that. And that's why I like being a child psychiatrist in a sense, because I go there, I'm experienced in that area. So me being a child, as an adult and sports psychiatrist just allows us to really holistically identify these things so that it's not interfering now with how they're functioning and after they play, because it's a short lifespan.
And that's another thing. I mean, they almost need more therapy for particularly NFL, maybe because it's so shorter, and even NBA as well. After more than anything. One of my mentor, Dr. Isaiah Pia, he's the chair of communications department at Ohio State. He's played basketball in college, and a lot of his friends were in NBA and stuff. He's like, yo, the real test of anybody's relationship that's in the pros is when they retire.
That's right.
He was like, yo, you got to think about it. Like, your relationship with that woman or man or whoever you're with is really a vacation and really like having a weekend relationship, because you're gone for X amount of time. And if she's getting a nurse for them 3 months, you like, I'm going to training camp a month anyway. All right, whatever. I can deal with it because I'm going to go to training camp in a month anyway. So we going to reset, and then you're going to miss me. I'm going to miss you again. And we're going to reset this all over again. But 7 years after your career is over, now you at home 9 months, 10 months, 11 months straight. You don't even know what's going on at the crib, he said, in general.
That's right.
And he was like, I'm going to tell his whole story because I'm going to let him tell his story. But he was dating athlete's girlfriend at the time. And this is in the early 90s, though. So this is, the guy didn't know that she was cheating on him with him because he had somebody else pay his bills. So all the long distance calls and stuff, he paid someone $35,000 at the time just to make sure his bills were paid.
Wow.
And this athlete is super popular now too. Like super, I mean, this dude is big now, still big. And he was just like, but when he got home, that's when they got divorced. when he got left the league, they got divorced like 3 or 4 years later.
Oh man. Because
he was always out. So everything was always, it was almost, he said it's like almost like a fake relationship.
Yeah.
Because you never get to really know the person. Unless you knew them. He said, like, I knew you in college. He said, that's why, you know, you don't trip when you see somebody like, he with her. Like, no, he know her though.
Right. Well, yeah. You see why, right?
Yeah.
Because there's certain athletes who've been with whomever they've been with for so long because of that reason.
Entertainers too.
Entertainers too. You're exactly right. I mean, when you become, being popular, I've come to understand from their perspective is not an ideal situation for many of them. It was a way to get out.
Until they get there, and then it's something different than they expected.
Don't want the popularity because of the fakeness. Who's after your money? Who's after you? And who's being a fake friend because of who you are? Who's trying to grab on your coattail while you're trying to do this? Even within your family. I mean, think about
it. That's so rough, man.
It's a lonely life for many of them.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. I was I was having an argument, a debate once, but like, how did he go broke? I was like, it's an easy mathematical thing. So let's say you got 2.5 million, 40% going to taxes. You got to get 10% to your management team and your agents and all of them, you know, and then let's say your dad and your mama in your life. You want to get, mama gonna get her house. Mm-hmm. Daddy want the F-150 truck. You know, you still got 3 or 4 homeboys. You think, and this is because you're younger, you 3 or 4 homeboys, you be like, yo, I got y'all. You got a lady.
Yeah.
You down to $20.
Yeah. That's why you got to go for these big contracts.
Yeah.
And not just the contracts, like Mahomes, you got to go for ownership in something.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got to have ownership because money don't last.
Yeah.
And you go broke, especially in NFL, because it's not set up like the NBA.
Where people like that business acumen. How do you have good business acumen if 80% of your day is shooting the ball? You don't have time to be like knowing what to invest in or what to do this. So you just get whatever financial advisor. Do you remember the thing with the whole thing with the NCAA that went down, the financial advisor dude that basically set the chain of reaction through the NCAA? The funny thing, it started from a suit man.
Yes.
It started from the suit man that Dominique Wilkins slapped up. Like maybe like people don't, I mean, this is, if you research it, and then he's the one that dimed out because suits was getting transferred to kids. Then they find out it was this agent. The agent was, financial advisor was people were directing people to that financial advisor, and he was messing up their money.
Yeah.
But if you don't know nothing, you don't know how to choose a financial advisor. We talking from, I'm thinking about being a North Side from St. Louis kid. If I didn't go to college, didn't go to graduate school, would I have known what I know now? That's me just talking out the side of my neck because I had those experiences to be able to know what to do.
That's
I don't know that. How do I know?
That's it. You got to interview people. You got to read. And sometimes you just got to go through experience to learn.
But how do you have time to read if 80% of your life has been ball? In undergrad, in high school, in the pros? When is that time?
Look, see, that's why you have a lot of athletes right now are listening to podcasts because, again, you have to make time. You know what I mean? If you're in this industry and these are the risk factors, you have to make time. You have to make time because if you don't, those types of things can happen, and they can happen just like that. Even if you pay somebody to make it happen, try to make it happen for you, you got to research everything, every step of the way. And it plays a toll. It plays a toll on their mental health. It does. So it's not just about, the last thing, honestly, in my mind, I look at them as an athlete. That's the very last thing. It really is. It really is. They have a performance coach. They have all they need to be the best physical athlete, right? But I look at their mental health. I look at their mental wellness. I look at where it is. I look at what their needs are, their so-called, what they've identified as their deficits, their strengths. And we come up with a plan to where we can make them mentally fit in order to be the best what they need to be, because all these other things matter. And they're facts.
It's more complicated, I think, than people think. And it's a lot of what I would do in your situation. And you don't know what you would do.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of hating, like straight up just hating. Just like, if I had 2.5 mil a year, ain't nobody getting none of it. All right, man. All right, stop it, man. Like, and it's so funny. Shout out to Charlie Bell. I got to hang out with him. This is 2007. So now I'm not going to, so we were in Las Vegas. One of my friends is friends with him. So it's long chain reaction to hang out. And he was sitting there as this, and then he's not even, at that time, he was only in the league, I think 3 or 4 years. And he wasn't even that big. And he was like, yo, this is just crazy. Like, he was sitting there like, yo, like, just being around regular people that just not even tripping off me laughing and stuff is like something totally different. Like, y'all cats ain't nobody asked for like, yo, who taking care of the booth? Everybody like, yo, we got eyes. You know, like, dang, y'all, ain't nobody asked me nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like, yo, I came in here assuming I was paying for everything. He's like, that's how much it's on you.
Oh, yes.
Like, think about it. Everywhere you go, you assume that you're paying.
Yes. Yes. Think about what you do as a career. And I'm sorry, I thought my.
Oh no, you can. Yeah, we good.
Think about what you do as a career, and think about everywhere you go. That person, you're getting wanting to get got for that. You want information. You know, somebody wants you for all that stuff. Think about that and the toll that can take. So if I go everywhere and everyone just identify me as a psychiatrist and talking to people, identifying their problems, helping them, I will get burned out. I don't want to be. I want to be Dawn. I don't want to be a psychiatrist all day. I don't. That's what I do. That's not who I am. And so a lot of these players, people don't know who they are, and a lot of them don't know who they are because from very beginning, that's who they were identified as an athlete. That's why you hear always more than an athlete, more than an athlete, more than an athlete. You always hear that saying because they are much more than that. That's why.
Do you think that's changing with the way it is now comparatively, like the people we saw growing up, like Jordans and all that era? Do you think their capacity for this is moving into a good direction, or is it just kind of inching that way?
I think it's inching that way. I think there could be more work in the area. I really do. I think that when you look at, if you look at the birth of athletes now, that we can really change it for them. You know what I mean? Because now they're not growing up with that mentality. They're really on a trajectory where they're like, for example, like these college, like I have a few NCAA athletes I see who are literally like so concerned about their work and the grades and also starting businesses now as an athlete separate because they know they want to do more than play basketball or football or even have a soccer, you know, for their school. You know what I'm saying? So it's the mentality early for many of them that they're not educated on because they're just like, you need to practice and then, you know, get your grades, then practice and practice and practice. They're looked as athletes. They're not looked as, okay, what if I get injured as a junior in college and I have a scholarship on this? Then what happens? Does anybody talk to me and spend time to me about that? You know what I'm saying? Or what if I end up not liking this? Man, Darryl, I'm telling you, if I saw, and this is just a number because I have to really look at the numbers, but let's say I saw 10 athletes, I would say 40% of them don't like what they do.
Wow.
That's mental toll. You don't like what you do, but you know you're good at it. Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, what life is that? Right? And whatever you result, I mean, of course you need money to function and you probably need money for not just more than you. So this is the life that you chose to live, but you don't enjoy what you're doing.
That's like being a drug dealer and can't get out the game. Like, I gotta sell these bricks. That's all I know is selling bricks.
And I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And it pays the bills.
And my family needs me and
my family needs it. There's a lifestyle that came to me because
man. Dawn, thank you for coming on. We got the last section is a rapid fire questions about just is either this or that. So you got to choose one of the two.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin?
Martin. Sorry, Will. I love you, but Martin.
All right. Next up, Michigan State or Michigan?
Michigan. Go Blue.
Wow. You know, and you know what? It's funny. I know I was one of my, do you know Wu Child? Yeah, he was telling me that the Flint Michigan State thing didn't happen till you guys were older. So most people that are our age are Michigan fans, but younger kids in Michigan State because the Flintstones start going to Michigan State. But he said if anybody is a 90s kid, they're a Michigan fan from Flint. But it changed now. He said like his little brother is a Michigan State fan now.
I'll say this. I'm hardcore Wolverine fan. The day I die. But shout out to the year 2000, where my boys from Flint, Michigan, please, Bell, all of them.
No. I can't condone that. That year when we lost to them in the Elite Eight and we got cheated. Look, I will never, ever let them win. 2000, that was my freshman year in college. No.
Yes.
No.
I remember that, man. I told you, I was in St. Louis for Final Four.
I'm not condoning 2000. You can have any other year, not 2000.
I do remember that. I do remember that year. But I would say I'm a Michigan State basketball fan. Yeah. I really am. But my overall team will have to be Michigan.
So Michigan over Michigan State. All right.
Yeah, and that includes softball, not just basketball and football. I'm talking about softball for the men and the ladies. Shout out to the ladies on the softball team right now. Shout out to the college men's team too.
Yeah,
right?
Juwan Howard's doing it.
Yes, he is doing it, and that's what I love about it.
And the thing is, though, I'm glad he's doing it because you know how much pressure that is for you to be Fab Five, have all this stuff, and then you got to go back to Michigan, and everybody's thinking you can't do it. You know, automatically. Oh, what skills he got? Even though he was basically player coaching for years, because he was just sitting on the bench and they was letting him do stuff. But they don't know that because people just don't really look into the game.
Yeah.
All right. This is gonna be a Detroit rapper battle. Here now, I'm letting you know, from Michigan. So Eminem or Royce the 5'9".
Come on, man.
I cater all the questions to people where they from. So Eminem or Royce the 5'9".
Why are you doing this to me, bro? I love Eminem. I do.
There's no bad answers.
He just added to his, album this year. I'm like, he got 30 tracks. I was listening to him this morning. That's my dude. I love Eminem. Sorry.
Okay, Eminem.
I love both, but I'm going to go Eminem on this.
All right, Sade or Anita Baker?
I'm sorry, Sade or Anita Baker?
Yeah.
Anita. Gotta go with Anita. I love Sade. That's my girl, but I gotta go.
You act like these people for to take it personal. like
right.
Like Anita, Sade, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I love you, girl. But I gotta go with Anita.
Okay. All right. Next up, Spike Lee or John Singleton.
Dang. I'm just on Snowball right now. How you gonna tell me that? Come on, bro. How you gonna put
That's the point of the questions. It's the point of the questions.
That's not right. That's not cool at all.
And John Singleton's dead too, so you gonna piss on that man's grave?
Can we get a tie?
No, you got to choose one of them.
Just because. Boys in the Hood. Like, come on, bro. I'm gonna have to go with John. Jesus, I love you, Mike. I love you.
I ain't gonna take it personal. John has passed away. I
know, but in honor, right? Yeah. Oh, exactly.
All right. This is a triple battle royale. So it's 3 different things. You got to choose between the 3.
Okay.
All right. New Jack City.
I know it's gonna be hard. Jesus.
Juice.
Now, come on, bro.
Or Boys in the Hood.
Jesus. Really?
There's 3 of them, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Ricky.
Boys in the Hood. Okay.
I love New Jack for the gangster, for the hood. I love it. I used to love Wesley Snipes. Jesus, my brother's keeper. There's no right answer to these things. I'm gonna say all of the above. We're gonna come up with another category.
Okay. All right. Comedians.
Oh Lord.
Dave Chappelle.
That's my boy.
Chris Rock. Bernie Mac.
Come on.
Or Kevin Hart.
You know what? I met Bernie. I know his daughter. That's my dude, man. Love him to the day I die. I do. I love Chris Rock for coming out about his mental health this past year and how the experience.
Yo, I had to look that up because I realized I have that. I asked, she's like, no, you don't, but you may be like on the smaller spectrum of what they. Because I was like, yo, wow, okay. People don't know. Look up. It's basically a form, and you could explain it better, Don, for people. I'm a GED person when it comes to that. It's basically saying like he doesn't think about the long-term things of someone, what he says, or how he's interacting with people. It's kind of like, is this why I'm kind of stationary and like robotic?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting phenomenon because I've just understanding that interview and understanding how he described it. I'm like, dang, I see that a lot. Meaning, and I'm so happy you talk about it, right? You got to talk about it so people can understand who they are themselves, and also other people can witness or be, get the information and understand themselves even more, and see if this is a problem for their lives. But yeah, man, it's an interesting phenomenon of just connecting with people, but not really understanding that what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're responding can really impact someone long term, not just them, but you too. And so I think it's part of personality, just like how I'm an empath and how empathic I am, and people
Yeah.
can manipulate that sometimes, or I'm very giving, I very try to. That's just who I am. So it's I can't turn that off. How can I turn that off? But
Yeah.
what I have to do is put boundaries around it or nurture it to where it's not hindering me, or I'm not being manipulated by it. So I loved how he's in therapy and trying to understand this personality feature that he has, and how to change it to where it's not hindering him or anyone else, or negatively impacting their relationships, knowing that it's involving other people. Yeah.
All right,
Man.
we got a couple more. All right,
Okay.
these are
I
gonna do.
just want to answer that one. So I got
Yeah, I know. I see you trying to get out of. All
yeah.
right, Nia Long.
Oh my girl. I love me some Nia. Jesus.
Or Viola Davis.
Oh, come on, man. Now this is really hard. Cause I had to go Viola. I love her. Like, everyone that knows me well knows that is my chick right there. I love her. I love everything about her. I do.
Viola
Her,
Davis or Nia Long.
yes, her behavior. I have to go Davis. Seriously. I love you, Nia. I do, girl. I do. But yeah.
All right, Nas or Jay-Z.
Oh, Nas. Sorry.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of Jay-Z fans out there, but Nas, my boy. I saw him when he was in Houston here with Erica Badu when she was on time. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Now this one will be this is a you already said you're a Texans fan, so I'm gonna throw out my football question since you already said you got season tickets, and I don't want you to jeopardize season ticket holder situation. All right. NFL or NBA?
I can't. No comment. I can't.
I ain't trying to mess up your money.
Mess up my money, bro. We're gonna say mental health athletics on that.
There we go. We can go with that. We can go with that. All right. What person's death in a movie affected you the most?
Ooh, what person's death?
In a movie affected you the most?
I gotta think about that. Man, that's a tough one. Because I'm a movie person. Can you give me some options here?
I can give you mine. I mean, mine, like I know there's people gonna laugh. I cry in 3 movies. Glory.
Yeah.
And I cried in Interstellar.
Oh,
The reason is my daughter was just born. She was maybe like 1 or so. And I don't know if you remember, did you see Interstellar?
Yes, I did.
So the part where his daughter saw him again for the last time, but she was older, and I just start crying, man. I don't know what it was. I was emotional. And my last one is 5 Goes West.
I remember seeing that. Was that in the movie?
American Tail, when his parents was he thought he lost them.
I got a really quick funny. I don't know how long you want this. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I'm still watching and y'all listen, man. When Eddie Murphy Raw came out, when Final Goes West,
it's American Tail.
American Tail.
Yeah,
they came out at the same time.
Yeah,
we went to go see Raw. My parents didn't know. I was young. My parents didn't know Raw. They saw Eddie Murphy, right?
So you had irresponsible parents like me. Then you had irresponsible parents like me. My parents took me to see Coming to America in theaters. I'm one of the people that I saw it twice in theaters.
Yes, exactly, right.
Because the second time, and this is how you show how old we are, all our younger listeners, how old we are. I wanted to go see Run DMC Tougher Than Leather, and it was sold out. And my mom made me go see Coming to America again. That's how I wanted to see Run DMC and Tougher Than Leather.
I love it, dude. I love it. I'm telling you. And listen, my granny was like, "Oh hell no!" My grandfather was like, "You need to take her out of here." My mom and my dad were like,
So it's like the first 2 or 3 minutes. Then it was off. Y'all had to know
when he was a little kid, and then they heard him
when the kids tell him the joke, right?
Man, I saw probably 3 minutes when he was on stage, because they would cover my ears and they thought it would pass. I'm like, no.
Also, they didn't like it when Deion Richmond. Shout out to Deion Richmond, man. That's one of my boys' boy that played the kid.
Yes,
Bud. Everybody know Bud from
Bud
Cosby Show. So your parents didn't move you out from them jokes when he said about the monkey?
Listen, my granny took me, and that's how I got American Tail. That's how I became
so y'all left out that there and went to see American Tail.
They didn't leave out the theater. Me and my granny did. I was so pissed because I was like,
and you probably didn't see it for another 15 years for real. You didn't probably get to see it again for another 15 years for real life.
Yeah, come on, man. It's okay. I already know. Like, I'm here long enough to hear at least 50 of them in the first 3 minutes. I'm okay. Like, I love Eddie Murphy. And
I had young parents, so my parents, I can't put on my parents. My mom had me at 18. My dad was 21, so.
Yeah.
So I was literally getting raised with them. So they were like, yo, we all finna go see Coming to America.
That's my favorite movie of all time, Coming to America.
That was my next one. Coming to America versus Boomerang was my next one.
Oh, Coming to America. But if I cried, oh man, I love Glory. I love that movie. I just saw it again the other day. I would say, yes, I cry during Glory every time I see it.
Yeah, I had to leave. I showed my daughter it during like this month of Black History Month. I made her watch it. And I left out the room during the campfire scene where they talking. That's where I cried. So I was like, yeah, let me go give me something to drink real quick. She's like, where you going? Like, I want to give me something to drink real quick.
Man, that movie, I think every child should see that movie. That every young kid, Black kid especially, see that movie. There's a lot of history in that movie. And did you know that wasn't true? Like, I even looked up
what do you mean?
the reality of the movie. They didn't win.
No, they didn't win. No, they said in the movie they didn't win.
Okay, but I looked out more. Like the commander, there was certain like big things that weren't true. Like the commander.
Yeah, some of the big things that weren't true. Well, the thing was though is that they basically knew that they were going to lose that battle. They were just trying to set up the Navy to be able to come around to help out. But they knew it was going to be a bad thing from the beginning, get-go. And it was, and so there's a famous portrait of everybody ever seen. It's actually showing the general going over the hill, and he's got and you can look at, and he's getting shot. It's actually a famous painting about Fort Sumter, the battle at Fort Sumter. So the lineage of it is those same guys end up being the guys in so they're I like to try to make every Black movie into like one Black cinematic universe. So those same Black soldiers end up being the Buffalo Soldiers. Which ended up being the Buffalo Soldiers, ended up being the same soldiers that went to the Spanish-American War, which been the same soldiers that came back to end up being cowboys. Would you get the movie Posse?
Right. I love it.
So it's all interconnected in all those ways. But Glory is
we are all interconnected within our own history. We definitely
I mean, more of anything now is the reconstructing history and thinking, at least for me as an older man, like, yo, like, what like some things that are idiocentric, like in Judas and the Black Messiah, like the thing I tell people all the time. Me and a friend of mine, I don't know if you know Teddy. You know Teddy Simpson? Yeah. So me and him. Simpson, Teddy Simpson Alpha. So we basically wrote a script that was Judas and the Black Messiah 3 years ago.
Are you serious?
But it was way more from O'Neill's perspective.
You come on, bro. What you doing?
I know. My sister-in-law was like, yo, my sister-in-law works on Jimmy Kimmel, and she was like, yo, you need to get this, shop this around. The whole thing was because there's more stuff in Judas and Black Messiah they don't talk about, because he ended up staying a snitch for another 4 years. So in our script, we had him coming back, showing up at the Black Panther office like, dang, man, y'all heard what happened, and like being all good.
Interesting.
And it was going to be that kind of thing, because if you dig deep in O'Neill, dude, that dude's life is, I don't understand how you can have the mental capacity to do what he did.
Yeah.
Because he stayed a snitch for more years. He moved out to California. His wife knew about all this. That's the whole thing they don't talk about. He had a wife that knew he was doing all this. That was a part of the witness protection program with him.
Wow.
He had a 9-month-old son when he killed himself. So then I'm thinking now that son's 31 years old right now. What is his mental state?
I honestly, it's someone, I need to look more into him. But when I saw the movie, and then I already knew about O'Neal before the movie came out, right? Just reading about the Black Panther Party and different aspects of it and all that. And Louis and all that. But when I looked more into his interviews and seeing his interviews and just hearing what he was saying, and of course I didn't even get a chance to evaluate him. And
right.
I know past,
but you're going from body language, things like that.
Right. And just how, man, I saw a sociopath.
Wow.
Tendencies. And I can see how he was able to do those things. And I don't think that he potentially gained empathy, and that's what partially led to him suicide. I think that with sociopaths, if they get caught, or if they, if a negative perspective is on them and all this kind of stuff, then that's what leads them. It's not about they have internal empathy or, why did I do this and I can't stand this. It's about knowing how people are looking at me. Forget what I did.
Wow.
Now how I'm looked at. Oh yeah, it's deep. I love personality disorders. I just
I mean, I know I'm gonna edit all this up. So it's, but I'm interested now since we go in there. Explain. I read the difference between being a psychopath and a sociopath. Like break it down for like. Yeah. What is the true difference? Like just on a general.
Yeah, the easiest way I can really break it down is both of them are personality disorders. So you have personality disorders and mental illness, which are different as well. Okay. So how I think of this as, how you hear depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, all these type of things. They're not the same as personality disorders. Okay. But there are mental illnesses that can be treated. So you're talking about medications or therapy, so on and so forth. When you talk about personality disorders, you can't necessarily treat them with medication. You can treat the comorbidities of these conditions with medication. So let's say someone with personality disorder has depression or anxiety. That's what gets better. So I wanted to kind of point that out, because when you hear about someone killing someone in society, and then you hear they have a mental illness, 3% of the population have a mental illness commit crime.
3%. So there's people that have these, but they just don't do crime.
Less than 3%. Less than 3%. That's why it's so important to educate the community that stop interchanging the word mental illness with these people who are doing crime. You know what I'm saying? And because of their mental incapacities, right? So I want to kind of put that out there. But when we specifically look at personality disorders, and we're looking at sociopaths and psychopaths, how I think of it, the easiest way to explain it is, when I think of a sociopath, it's kind of in its name. How this person has developed personality disorder based upon their social upbringing, how they're impacted by their society. So they may actually develop a type of journey, behavior, mindset to where they have been impacted negatively by their society. So these are individuals who may have traumatic backgrounds or past, traumatic upbringings. And as a result, these are the behaviors that they've developed and they're intentionally doing, right? Then you think of psychopaths. Psychopaths can have actually something wrong structurally, chemically.
Okay. So sociopaths are kind of nature. It's a nature versus nurture kind of thing. Is that kind of?
Yeah, exactly. In a sense, I mean, either psychopaths can have the same as well, but that is a key difference. Is that, or part of their brain is not as active. And we're looking at the amygdala of a psychopath. So the amygdala is kind of our emotional part of our brain, a part of it, nucleus accumbens, amygdala. We're seeing that some of it's not as active or never formed well. So how can I treat it with medicine? How can I treat that with therapy? So many of these individuals may be in jail or in prison. The other difference is that psychopaths and psychopaths often don't get caught. Sociopaths. So then you're thinking about the degree of intelligence, manipulation, resources between these two personality disorders.
So psychopaths are like, so psychopaths would be it could be that's like the CEO, could be a CEO of a company. A sociopath is probably not.
In a sense, it can be. So that's interesting because there's some research that look at major CEOs of companies and having this type of personality and how it's helped them become who they are. Because they're not empaths. They don't care about what you do. They care about the business. And if you get in the way, then you're fired.
Wow.
Right?
That's wow.
This plan. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when going back to Judas, like, if you get in the way, or if I had to do what I had to do. I'm not an empath. I don't. You're right. Like, how can you understand that, being someone who may have those key areas on, or who may be able to empathize with people? We can't understand that.
Yeah, because it's like when you get into O'Neal, you're like, man, like the moves you like. I'm not saying that people aren't self-preservationists, definitely, but it's like you made so many non-self-preservational moves for no reason on top of it.
Right, things you didn't have to do.
And that was one thing Judas Mike decided if you go into the research on him, he was a big time capitalist. He had like a menu of like snitching. Like, people don't know, he like, if I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be 500. If I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be 250. If I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be 150. So that was something that the movie didn't really, and I get it, it's a movie, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't do everything with that. But that's something that he had a menu
before, right? He was a hustler.
Yeah, it's a menu to like a snitching. Like,
yeah, he chose a profession that he really wasn't, like policeman or whatever.
Yeah.
And did what he did. Like, dude, you have no experience in this, and you're not real, but you're living this fallacy to get what you want. It's interesting because there are people that exist out here that are living that type of lifestyle and are part of families.
Man, yeah, I'm about to tell you something offline though that's gonna bug you out after we're done in a second. About but I'll tell you in a second. So, Don, let everybody know where they can hit you up at. Maybe even are you doing therapy for regular folks? I'm saying regular folks.
So for the general population, I actually am a psychiatrist. I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm an adult psychiatrist, but I do ADHD. So if I'm licensed in 6 states, but if you're in Texas, then I can actually become your psychiatrist if you have ADHD. So you can find me at www.adhdwellnesscenter.com. That's my private practice in Houston. If you are an athlete, I would love to work with you, love to collaborate with you, love to help you. And the difference about me is I help you and your family, your ecosystem, if you will. So I can provide education resources for you, not only you and your family, but also your coaches, if that is something that you choose, or we can just focus on how to make you better. So you can find me at mentalhealthletics.com. That's mentalhealthletics.com. And then I'm also on social media as Dr. Dawn PsychMD.com. So the main place you can find me is probably mentalhealthletics.com and Dr. Dawn PsychMD.com, because those will take you to other pages and how you can find me. I also have a book, a podcast, so feel free to follow me. Love to collaborate with anyone out there who's all about mental wellness.
Yeah. Don, thank you so much for coming on here, man. I appreciate it. It's like super so much, man. People are gonna really dig this, and they're gonna. I mean, I've been a whole thing of like, putting people in the spaces that they need to be in their shine. Especially you've been doing it, man. Especially in mental health, and I've been big on that for a while. And just getting your mental health back, especially if you're gonna try to get all this money, you got to have your mental right.
Gotta have your mental right. I appreciate what you're doing, brother. I love your mission. I'm here to serve you in any way that I can to further your mission as well. So I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm very honored. And I will definitely be posting this. And
yeah. Definitely. And so the funny thing is, like, I don't know if because you're cool with LeVar. And LeVar is cool with Javon.
Oh, really?
They both comics.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so like that's that's how he would come to St. Louis all the time. Javon would be bringing him.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were. Not that.
Yeah, man. And then LeVar is cool with some of my cousins. I'm originally from Chicago. He's cool with some of my cousins from because he went to Westinghouse. No, he didn't go to Westinghouse. He went to Simeon.
Okay.
Yeah. So So it's just this is all this random intertwining black people that's doing their thing, all intertwined.
That's how it happens. That's how it happens.
Once again, though, Don, but stay on for a second.
Okay, definitely.